Well, hey fans, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers, and today we're talking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So first off, we'd like to thank our sponsor for this video, Flip Frog Books. Flip Frog Books is a Black-owned book publisher based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They've released children's books such as The Bacon Tree, I Don't Want a Pet, and Ned's Fanciful Webs. If you wish to purchase a book, the link is in the description below. Jump into a good story with Flip Frog Books. So the panel for this one is not as packed as last time, but we still got a couple more people joining me back for, I don't know, his fourth or fifth spoiler talk. I've lost count at this point. Daniel Henry, tell the people how you doing.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Glad to be here once again to talk about another piece of cinema.
And joining us, we got a person I've known for, over a decade. I've known you both the same amount of time. Daniel Splash Brother and Ravens enthusiast, Devin Johnson. Tell the people how you doing.
Ravens flock till I die. Hey, listen, it's just a sports jock in a movie slot, man. So I'm gonna do my best here today. Appreciate you having me on.
Glad to have you. So we're going to jump right into it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Just an amazing piece of animated cinema, as Daniel put it. It was really an enjoyable sequel. Glad we finally got it. It's been 5 years. Everybody here has seen the movie. Daniel, we'll start with you. What are your overall thoughts, and then give it a score at the end? We saw it actually twice. You came to the Transformers screening, and we went and saw it right after because that movie was so. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, your thoughts and score.
Overall thoughts. After Into the Spider-Verse, I was like, this is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. And after Across the Spider-Verse, I said that has changed. This is now my favorite Spider-Man movie. I won't say it's the best. I can't say right now if it's the best, but I do know it's my favorite Spider-Man movie. And overall, I just thought it was really good. Like the way how they set the movie up from the beginning to the end, you're wondering why are they starting with Gwen, and then you find out, by the end of the movie that she's recounting a story to other people. So if I have to give it a score, I'm giving it like a high 9, maybe even a 10. I'd say I'm gonna stick with 9. 10's gotta be like, I'm gonna go 9.
All right, 9. All right, Devin.
So I tell you what, man, this movie is fire, dog. Boy, I tell you, man, this thing probably at least get a 9.5 out of 10, man. It to me, it is, to piggyback off what Daniel said, it's definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie. I have to put it up there, man. It just encapsulates everything of all Spider-Mans. It touches all the emotions, all the feels. It's got a little bit for every type of member in the audience, from the little kids to the parents to teenagers to whoever, man, just everyone. I think it's just a great film. It's one of those things I put up there as it's one of those sequels that's actually better than originals. It's to me, it's those movies. It's like the Terminator 2, the Rocky 2. It's one of those type of movies where the sequel actually turned out to be, in my opinion, better than the first. So definitely 9.5 for me out of 10.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I really enjoyed the movie. After seeing it the first time, I was going back and forth in my head. I was like, I don't know, is this movie a 10 out of 10 for me? Is it perfect? It's technically only half of a movie, so should I not, like, can it even be perfect if I haven't seen the conclusion? But the second time I saw it, after seeing it with Daniel, I went ahead and I was thinking like a 9.5, but I went ahead and bumped it up to a 10 out of 10. For me, I was just like, this movie, it hits on so many levels. The animation quality, the sound design, the ending. Even like when we saw it the second time, that ending hit so much harder. It's like, dang, this is like your Star Wars Empire Strikes Back type of ending, because he hasn't won yet. He's technically lost. He's in a place he knows nothing about. He's dealing with this, other version of himself.
No idea how to get back.
Exactly. He doesn't have a watch. His they ain't boyfriend girlfriend yet, but his girl basically turned on him.
Whoa. I don't know if that's his girl, man. I'm a little spoiler talk, man. Hobie, I'll let you continue.
But yeah, I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I think I liked the first Into the Spider-Verse better, but I also graded that one a 10, but this is still a 10. It's just like another 10. The directors and the writers have given us just another win, and I can't wait to see what they do with the third one. And like I mentioned before, the sound quality is amazing. They actually just put it back in theaters with improved sound quality, so I may have to see it a third time. Daniel, what do you think about the music and the score?
Oh, the music was great. They did a good job. I know that, I'm pretty sure they didn't do it in the first one. Basically, every Spider-Man that played like a big role in the movie, they kind of had like their own kind of theme music to them. Like each one had like their own kind of vibe to them, whether it was Untitled Spider-Man or Hobie. or I guess like British punk rock Spider-Man to Gwen to Miguel, so Spider-Man 2099, and even Miles, even Spider-Woman like Issa Rae, who Issa Rae played.
Jessica Drew,
Jessica Drew, yeah. I think even she had like her own kind of like style music that came when she came flying to the scene on a motorcycle, pregnant,
that was dope.
irresponsible.
A lot of irresponsible Spider people in this movie.
But so I thought like the music was one of the best parts of it, and I think that's something they really done. Like the directors, the music producers, all of them, they did a good job between the first one and this one, finding music that really fits the tone of the other films.
I agree, man. I think in each section of the movie, the music, the score, just it fit perfectly. It almost, in some cases, in some movies, it just feels like the music may overcome or just like take over the screen time sometimes, but it just fit in. I think it also, what they did in the original one, it fit New York still. It made you feel like you still in New York. New York is part of it. It's a big part of, obviously, Spider-Man being from Brooklyn, just in general, man. It's just that's an important thing. And then you got guys like, I'm just looking at the track list now. You got Sway Lee coming back. He really hadn't been on the map like that. You got Lil Wayne, Offset, ASAP Rocky, Lil Uzi. And then you even got throw in Dreamville. Jid is in there, man. That's crazy, man. I'm a big Dreamville fan, so that's crazy that he's in that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. Jumping off of what Devin said, the soundtrack for this film, it just feels like it's for the culture. They had a lot of black and brown artists on there just doing their thing, and it feels very much ingrained into, like, when you see Miles on screen, we know what we're getting. We know what type of music we're gonna hear, and they don't, like, that's pretty much the Miles Earth. I think what 1610, that's his universe. When we're with Gwen in the beginning, it's rock and roll. When we're with Hobie, it's even harder rock and roll. And when we were with Paviter and Mumbattan, you got the Indian music. And I think the way all of that gelled together, it was fantastic. And even if, like, when Hobie first appears in Mumbattan, bam, his music starts. And he comes in to save the day, and I thought it was really good. And the soundtrack, of course, when him and Gwen are just swinging together in the beginning, I really just enjoyed hearing that in the background. It kind of plays more on, like, their relationship, their current friendship that is potentially blooming into something more. So I think all of that is just a total win, that these guys know exactly what they're doing. Because, and like, back growing up, like, a lot of, even if we saw a black movie or whatever, the composer or whatever, it was a white guy. Rarely did you actually have like sometimes they let Quincy Jones do it, but now they got Metro Boomin curating this one, which is a great thing. I think he did a great job. He was funny as Metro Spider-Man when he showed up for his cameo. But talking about, like Metro Spider-Man, the way all these different spider people look and the sound. Dan, what are your thoughts on the ever-changing and experimental animation?
I thought that was really well done. Like, a lot of the different Spider-Man have like their own unique look. I think they did a good job of, like, what I was kind of picking up from is like Gwen's world. It was like a lot of pastel colors or watercolors, and like they would run and kind of fit like her emotions or her mood at the time. So there's that. But obviously Hobie, his was very loud and almost like sketched out on like a piece of paper, like someone who's just like not paying attention in class, things like that. But like depending on like almost how individualized the Spider-Man was, they would maintain their own art style regardless of where they went. So like Hobie still looked that way even when he got into Nueva York. Like, he still had like a rough drawing style, whereas like a lot of the others, they started like their look altered to fit where they were. So I think they did a good job with that. When it just comes also in the animation, like a little small things that you see, like when they're in Mumbattan, like they changed a lot of the, like, instead of pow and slam or punch, it changed like to, it would be written like that in Hindi. I thought that was cool. So animation wise, I think that was some of the most unique parts of the movie.
I agree. Artistically, it's one of the top animations out there. And even though I absolutely love the movie, I do think though at times that could be a little bit a lot. It was a lot, you know what I mean? A lot on the eyes. And not saying that as a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of nitpicking. But the scenes, like Daniel was saying, they fit each Spider-Man. Each Spider-Man kind of had their own visual. Each location had their own visual. And I would say if you weren't caught up in how good the movie is, it could really be a lot on you and strain of just so much going on. But artistically, I think it was perfectly done.
I agree with that. It could be a lot for some people. I remember thinking that in the first one with the whole like living comic book art style. You kind of had to focus a little bit. It was almost like 3D, but you don't have 3D glasses because like the depth was like a little blurry, but everybody was in focus who was up front. And they kind of polished that. And this one, you don't really have a lot of that blurriness in the background. And like I said, I agree. It just looks. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me ask this: Did y'all see it in like IMAX or?
No, I
See, we saw it in just a regular movie theater too. So
the first time I saw it in regular, when Dan and I saw it after the Transformers screening, it was a Dolby. So yeah, but like I said, yeah, that animation quality is fantastic. I really like Obi's, sketched out, cut out look. I like the pastels of Gwen's universe. I like the true to the 80s comic books of Scarlet Spider, Ben Riley, when he's like, I have you trapped in my well-defined musculature. Like, I really like how they individualized every single Spider-Man. And I do think this is going to have an ever-changing presence on animation moving forward. Even the first one did. So after Into the Spider-Verse came out, a lot of companies started changing their animation to be more than just the whole Disney Pixar 3D CG that look. They're kind of all right, we're moving past that, because they had DreamWorks, The Bad Guys, they had that come out this year, and they tried that new animation style. They also used that in their Puss in Boots movie. If you've seen the trailers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, they're using this type of look. So soon it looks like Disney and Pixar are going to be left in the dust, because everybody's like, people need to see just more than just a digital person. They need to see something vibrant and exciting.
Pixar still has the thick mom, so people are still going to keep coming.
They do have the thick mom. They have that down pat. But speaking of things that are vibrant and exciting, Daniel, who is your favorite Spider person in this movie?
Honestly, I would say, I like a lot of them, but my favorite might be Jessica Drew. I like her. I don't know, just something about how she was. She reminds me a lot of, because anyone who doesn't know, I'm a teacher. And so the way she was treating Gwen is how I treat a lot of my students. Like, okay, yeah, I know you're welcome. Shut up. She hangs up the phone. And so I really enjoyed her character. So yeah, she's one of my favorite. This is the first time I've seen an iteration of Miguel O'Hara on the big screen. I didn't play the Spider-Man game where it is him and I guess 616 Peter Parker and
it's Noir, regular Peter Parker.
No, that's a different one. This is a different one. There was a sequel. This is a sequel to that one. He wasn't in that one.
He wasn't.
The sequel to that one is just regular Peter Parker, and Anti-Venom ends up moving between the two time periods.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I didn't play that one, so this would be my first interaction with Miguel O'Hara, and so I really like him because he's very different from traditional Spider-Man. He's not
what they call him. He's like a Spider-Man / ninja / vampire.
And so he's not. He's funny, but it's a very dry humor. You're both terrible mentors. Let's just agree on that, okay?
What do you think, Devin?
All right, so y'all gonna have to help me out on this one. I absolutely don't know which Spider-Man this is, but he kind of had a very small part. But he was absolutely swole, brolic, and he had some weapon, I think, on his right arm, and spikes coming off his
shoulder. Cyborg one that shot the cans.
Almost, and I basically called him. I was like, man, that's the Cyberpunk 2077 Spider-Man. I don't know which one that was, but that was probably my favorite one. Just visually looking at it, and also just because I didn't know who it was. So we're gonna have to look that up to see which Spider-Man that was. In general, though, probably, man, just traditional Peter Parker, man. Him just growing up being a dad and just showing his growth as a person, man. I felt like you could never go wrong with traditional, and it's like seeing him go from what we know as Peter Parker, young teenager, whatever, and then him growing up and being old, and him being that animated version, then him becoming a dad, and just seeing the growth of his personality, him wanting his daughter to be like Miles, that stuff kind of just hits home, and just shows growth of even in an animated series of how Spider-Man just kind of just learns from things. So Pete,
humbling reality Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah, humbling reality Spider-Man. So by the way, Devin, that was Cyborg Spider-Woman. She brought it.
So it's a woman?
Yeah, she's massive. So that's who that is. There is a Cyborg Spider-Man, but he's a lot smaller. So yeah, the big one, that's a Cyborg Spider-Woman. Yeah, my favorite is Obi Brown. I hate the AM, I hate the PM. I'm not a role model. I used to be a runway model. Hilarious. Daniel Kaluuya straight crushed that role. It was from as soon as he appeared on screen, I was like, this dude has got it. And just the way he spoke to everybody, even talked to May Parker, is took a crap on the establishment. I salute you. And he's like, just hilarious. And like, especially like we don't exactly know, and I'm glad they didn't actually go into detail, but we don't actually know what happened between him and Gwen, whether she was like using him to get over Miles. We know she spent a lot of time in his universe. She's wearing his Chucks now. They're a part of her costume as opposed to the ballet shoes. I like his whole punk rock look, his big, thick dreads, and
she left the toothbrush over there.
Yeah. And he gets this is one of the only times Daniel Kaluuya actually gets to be British. Like a lot of times a lot of these black British actors, they pretty much put on the American accent. Rarely, I think the only black British actor who gets to be British the most is Idris Elba.
Yeah.
But Daniel Kaluuya is finally getting to do it, and he just felt so free, and I can't wait to see him come back. And this is actually going back to more, I guess Devin's going to have to choose an even smaller person, but Daniel, who's your favorite spider cameo? A Spider-Man or a Spider-Person, whatever, who showed up barely and that you just enjoyed seeing?
Obviously, I'm going to have to go with my boy, Peter Parker from Spectacular Spider-Man.
You stole mine.
Greatest animated Spider-Man show ever. I'm sorry. The original was great, but Spectacular Spider-Man had so much from all the different iterations of Spider-Man, I'd say. So that would be my favorite one. One I did enjoy seeing, though, I did like hearing J.K. Simmons play. It's always good to have him come back as J. Jonah Jameson. I feel like I feel like he really enjoys playing him anyway. And so, like, all they got to do is call the phone. He's like, I got who? I'm there. I love playing J. Jonah Jameson. So I think he played like 2 roles. He was him in the Lego world and in Gwen Stacy's world.
Yeah, I think every time you heard J. Jonah Jameson's voice, it was him. Because I think he also appeared in Earth 42 Miles' universe. He was on the news talking about the Sinister Six of that universe. Devin, you got another one?
You got to help me out with this one too. The hologram Spider Girl.
Spider-Bite. This is actually my first time seeing her. I didn't know about her before this movie.
That was legit. It kind of gave me a Ready Player One type of Spider-Man or Spider-Woman that you kind of never really heard of, or at least I've never heard of or seen before. Just to kind of throw like a tidbit in there with Hobie helping out Miles and then her helping out Miles. It's like, hey man, for the culture, man, the Black Spider-Mans was making sure they had each other back. I'm just throwing that out.
I felt that exact same way when I saw that, because I was
made sure just those little bits, man, just them two, man, just they really helped out in that entire movie. So that to me was important. So big shout out to Spider-Bite right there.
I'm with Daniel. I really enjoyed seeing Spectacular Spider-Man again. I really love that cartoon. It should have never been canceled. Really, in only, 2 seasons, Daniel? It was voted the best Spider-Man cartoon, overtaking the one from the 90s. And the one from the 90s is like GOAT. So you had to be good to be better than that. But I really did enjoy seeing him. In terms of one that just made me like giggle or laugh or whatever, Lego Spider-Man, when he showed up, that was pretty dope. And that scene was apparently animated. There's like a young black boy. He like does these videos online, and they reached out to him to edit that scene for the movie.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, that was pretty dope to find that out. And yeah, that really did make me laugh. So we know in Into the Spider-Verse, the main villain was Kingpin. Kingpin was the big bad, but this time around, we're going with like a smaller bad who kind of becomes big. And so, Daniel, tell me what you thought about the Spot throughout this movie.
I think the Spot was the perfect villain for it. Like originally, like I had heard of the Spot, but I didn't know much about him. I just knew he had spots. I knew those spots, he was able to use them for like defensive, teleportation purposes, things like that. But I didn't have like a big intro into like his lore and how he came to be. I'm pretty sure they kind of come up with their own, I think they made like his creation kind of their own way. Mm-hmm. And so I think they did a good job bringing him in. When he first comes in, he's kind of like a joke. And like Miles isn't taking him seriously. You're not taking him seriously. And honestly, if you hadn't watched any trailers, you wouldn't even know if he was even going to be like, is he even the villain of the week? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is he even that if you hadn't watched the trailer? Because I didn't watch a trailer for the movie. I had seen a few of some of the ones with the Spider-Man that are going to be in it, but I hadn't seen like a legit trailer for the actual movie to see like who might be a villain for it. But I just figured, so I was like, is the Spot going to be the villain in this? And so you're not taking him seriously because Miles is taking him seriously. And then he levels up and he levels up again. And you're like, okay, this dude might be a problem. He's kind of a problem. And so I think they did a good job with that. Although I will say one thing that I mentioned it to you when we were watching it the second time. Where's the accountability? You know, like you can't blame his creation. I mean, like, didn't you? I'm pretty sure in the first one they were trying to tell with like Kingpin, like the collider could like destroy reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then it's like So what? You either wipe out all of New York in reality, or it gets stopped, or it gets destroyed, and then this is like you. When are you going to take some accountability for what happened and like that you played a part in this in your own creation? But that's what makes a lot of villains either detestable or likable is kind of their how they were created. Some you're just like, yo, this dude is so delusional. Like you can't blame him for something that you partially are to blame for. And so I think they did a good job picking the spot.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. Spot was a very good villain. My man went just from your everyday just robbing an ATM to kind of being the mastermind villain. It kind of goes along with the evil scientist thing of and in most of all Spider-Man's is like they kind of just start off, they've got this greed for power, being the guy, and then they turn into something else. They let that power kind of overtake them, and this all morale goes out the window. But yeah, I think he was a good spot. To piggyback off what Daniel said too was like I really didn't really see too many trailers for it either, and that's big ups to the first movie of just like I think everybody just wanted to see what the second one was going to be about without any type of marketing and stuff. And it may have been out there, maybe it's just in the society that we're in now. But yeah, I really didn't see any trailers for it at all. It was just like, all right, well, this is coming out next week. It's time to go see it. And it's kind of word of mouth. But yeah, back to Spot Man, I think it's just his growth too, just being a normal criminal trying to rob an ATM, make means for himself, and now it's like, all right, well, I can go across all the multiverse and I can do whatever I want to do. So
yeah, I really did enjoy him in the trailers. They do show him, but in the trailers they make it do seem like he's just a villain of the week. They make it seem like Miguel is going to be the only villain that is pretty, or antagonist. We should say antagonist. He's not really a villain that's going up against Miles in this movie. But I really love the way they did him. I liked his character design, how he's kind of just like the base of drawings with just like dots on him. And the more collider energy he absorbs, the blacker he gets. But then he's just kind of like black with white spots. And I do like the best thing about heroes is that they create their villains some of the times. Like Batman throws, now he doesn't throw him. He stops the guy, he falls in acid, that guy becomes Joker. And in this one, Miles was there. I like that they had the callback. He was like, you don't remember me? You hit me with a bagel. And like, that was one of the funniest scenes in the first movie. The guy who got hit with the bagel. Now we know who that was. And it's really the fact that it probably could have been, if Miles took him seriously, Miles probably would have still beat him and then he just would have went to jail. But it's the fact that Miles didn't take him seriously that hit him in the gut. He's like, no, you're going to take me seriously. And that is what pretty much sets everything in motion in this movie and apparently in a lot of other movies. So yeah, I think the Spot turned out to be the best villain for this particular story. Now, whether he stays the overarching villain, we'll see, but I really liked him. Now, thoughts on our antagonist, Miguel O'Hara. Daniel, tell us what you thought.
All right, so before I hop on Miguel, I'm going to make a prediction. Miles will use a bagel to enrage the Spot in the third movie. I stand by that. He will use bagels in some fashion to enrage him in order to distract him or something. This, I'm calling it right now. But Miguel, thoughts on Miguel? I liked Miguel. I did. I like his like kind of no nonsense. He's basically like the foil to Miles, I guess. They both have like a shared Latino heritage, but Miguel's is more curt. He's still curt with him. He's not he wasn't trying to be close with him, trying to be friends with him. He's like, look, I've been keeping all this together, not you, me. Like this whole everything. I've been holding it together. And I'm not gonna let you come in here and mess it all up just because you want to save your dad. Everybody's dad's gonna go if you save your dad. And so he's very much like the ends justify the means in a way, like sacrifice one, save everybody. And I thought that was a different way to view Spider-Man, I guess, because most of the times like Spider-Man, I can save everyone. Like even was it Puppeteer, right?
Yeah, Puppeteer. Yeah,
Puppeteer. Like he was like, I can do both. Like he had the web. He was like, I can also save him. I can do both. Like that's what like mostly you think of when you think of Spider-Man. Like I can save everybody. Even if I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna try and save everybody. And so he was just he had become almost, because of the formula that had been developed in the multiverse, he felt like a lot of those things were inevitable. And so learn how to work with the formula to create like a safer universe or constantly fight it and just create chaos.
Yeah, Miguel's gonna be the villain, straight up. I'm gonna put it like that, man. I think he's gonna be a villain in the next film. I think that whatever he's got going on with this vampire thing that we don't, I necessarily don't know about. I think that Gwen putting that team together outside of Miguel already kind of is a little bit of foreshadowing. But I think he's the perfect right now anti-hero. I guess that's the best way to put it. And he made it seem like it's all Miles' fault. I mean, my guy kind of took the place of another Spider-Man or another him that was already dead, and that's not it's not morally right. You know what I mean? It's a movie out there like that's like that. Harrison, you might know, but where the black guy like cloned himself or something like that, and he went back and replaced himself in his family. I don't know, remember the name of that movie, but it's the same type of decision Miguel did right there. So it'd be interesting to see what he becomes if he gets his morals together and does good like most Spider-Mans do. But I think he's going to be a true villain in the third one.
I like Miguel too. I like what they did with his story. Like in the comics, Miguel, like he's Spider-Man 2099, so he rarely interacts with anybody from the main timeline. But bringing him in as the antagonist, I thought was a good job. And with that stinger from Into the Spider-Verse, you just thought he was probably going to recruit Miles for like a mission coming up. But when you saw that first trailer, you're like, oh snap, no, they're butting heads. And I remember one of my original theories, I was like, damn, that's going to end up being like Miles's great grandson or something like that. Because I mean, how many Hispanic Spider-Man are there? But yeah, I really liked him. And I like the fact that he's kind of been through it. I think he's had that part. He's been Miles. He's like, yeah, I can save everybody. I can live a happy life. This version of Miguel is dead. Okay, I'm going to go give his daughter, I don't want his daughter to feel that pain. I'm going to give her a good dad. I'm going to go there and be there. But then he realized, he was like, I'm just making things worse. I'm not supposed to be here. And that whole, he destroyed an entire universe by doing what he did. Countless people died that we know of because him trying to do a good thing, trying to save another Miguel's daughter from not having a dad. So his plan makes sense. I think he sees where Miles comes from. He said, look, I know you want to do this, but if you do this, you're going to kill everybody. Everything's going to fall apart, and we just can't let that happen. And I do have another theory about why that can happen that we'll go over later when we get to our theories. But yeah, Miguel, thumbs up for me. I really did enjoy him. So the multiverse, the human poly, multi-arachno, whatever, the Spider-Verse, is a big part of the movie. It's the main part of the movie. Dan, what are your thoughts on the connections they made to the MCU and Sony's SSU, Spider-Man universe, whatever?
I thought he did a good job of like connecting into it without like making it so like, you know, the MCU has to recognize this as like existing, you know what I mean? That way, like it seems like the MCU kind of has like their own plans for the multiverse, you know. I think we've talked about it before, how they've kind of shoehorned and messed up on like what a Nexus being is, whether they're supposed to look the same or not look the same, things like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, they don't really have to recognize the Into the Spider-Verse series as like a part of it, but I think making those references, you know, Doctor Strange and Tom Holland, who he calls like that nerd. I think making those references like, oh wow, that's a good reference. And like, you know, you see scenes from, I mean, they aren't part of the MCU, but well, I guess technically they are now. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, you see scenes from them. I was looking, there probably were scenes from Tom Holland's different Spider-Man movies. I wasn't able to spot them, but I'm sure they popped up in some of the various triangles of the Spider-Verse web that Miguel showed to Miles. Obviously, they connected the Sony Spider-Man universe with the convenience store lady. Was it Miss Chin? What's her name?
I think Miss Chin, yeah.
So, yeah.
And Venom.
It was from the Venom series. That was cool. So I think they did a good job establishing connection without having to be like fully recognized, at least by like, you know, by Disney and Marvel itself.
Yeah, I think they did a great job of just keeping it. It's gonna sound cliche, just keeping it Spider-Man, not worrying about what MCU is doing, not worried about what Sony's doing, and just like really focus on what every Spider-Man that we can kind of think of and see, and just give it a little tidbit of it, just giving a nod to it. I think that, you know, at this point in the multiverse, or however we want to call it, in all movies, whether it's MCU, it's so much going on. It's so much to try to tie together. So sometimes it's the simple things make it easy. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to put together a timeline on why this happened and this led to this. Just a quick snippet, just a quick screenshots of and videos from the previous Spider-Man movies and stuff was just enough. That was just right. That's all you needed to see. It just like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, okay, that's from Spider-Man. That's from Amazing Spider-Man. You know, that was all it needed, and I think they did a good job with that.
I agree. I like that they pretty much just kept it Spider-Man. They mentioned Doctor Strange, but of course you don't see like any of the other heroes. They got Mrs. Chin from Venom, and they apparently shot that scene with just basically archival footage. So I don't even think she really had to say anything. So that was a nice touch. We got to see Donald Glover as a live action Prowler. That was a pretty dope scene. I don't even know how they kept that a secret. And I hope that means when they make like Spider-Man 4 in the MCU that he's the Prowler there. And the whole thing about like the collider explosion in the first movie actually being the catalyst that sent all these shockwaves through the Spider-Verse and caused certain people to end up in dimensions they weren't supposed to be. I like that they put that explainer in there because that actually makes sense out of that horrible Morbius stinger. Did y'all see Morbius?
No,
Okay,
absolutely not.
It's not good. But at the end, Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming ends up in the Venomverse. And he talks to Morbius about ever, and he says he has no idea how he got there. It must be because of Spider-Man. So this was like right after Spider-Man No Way Home. And everybody's like, well, Doctor Strange's spell didn't work that way. It would not have sent him to another universe. It only like brings people to their universe.
So do you think that's why they picked Vulture at the beginning of this one to be the one that crossed over universes as like the first time?
That's like a Renaissance
to
Vulture. Yeah, I think it's a nod to that, and that pretty much explains that because everybody was like, how did Sony make a mistake? Did they not even watch the movie? There's no way Michael Keaton would have ended up in the Venomverse. But now it makes sense because of what happened in Into the Spider-Verse. That's actually how he got over to the new universe. Right. So I think it would have been better if we saw him like in a cage and somebody went and caught him. But I think it's fine. It'll probably be fixed later. But now they have that out to be like, this is actually what happened there. But everything comes to a head at the end of this movie. They don't want Miles to save his dad. He, makes that eye contact with Spider-Bite and she allows him to get sent home, or so we thought. And we get to that cliffhanger of an ending. Dan, what did you think about that ending?
Yeah, that was a great ending. I remember when I watched it the first time, it happened. I think I must have blinked, but it happened so quick when he got knocked out. And I was like, who was that? Like, who just snuck? I was like, he got snuck. Who snuck him? And then I was like, was that the Prowler? I was like, but I thought Aaron was the Prowler. I thought Uncle Aaron was the Prowler. And then I was like, oh snap! I saw him up there. He was small. I was like, oh man, is he the Prowler in this universe? I'm like, oh, that's crazy. What a moment! I talk about one of those like, Jesus, how am I going to get out of this? So I did like that, but I do like the fact that he's not like, he was like thrown off, but by the time it got to the end, he's like not panicking. He's like, all right, I just got to get out of these. If I can get out of these chains, I know I can beat me, basically. That's what he's thinking. He's like, I just beat all these other me's. I can beat one of me. He's like, if I can beat a whole army of Spider-Men, then I can definitely beat one of me. And so he's just like, I just need to be able to get my hand down to give off enough energy to like shatter these chains, and I'm good. And so I thought that was they looked at like this is like the steepest of cliffhangers, I think, because he's stuck there. Gwen and a lot of the crew from the first one, they're off to look for him, but they don't know where to find him. And then you got Miguel and Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, they're in Earth 1610 waiting on him, and then the Spot's showing up now. Although I'm pretty sure that was just like kind of I don't think the Spot, when the new one starts, the Spot won't be there. I think it'll still be some time. I think they just wanted to kind of push forward time to see like the Spot is still going to show up. Yeah. I think there'll still be like some time between when he actually appears in New York to like kind of take everything from Miles, So I thought it was really good ending.
Yeah, it was the best way to have a cliffhanger for that. I think, and I want to go back and rewatch it, but you could kind of, to me, I felt like the animation was different too, because when they were showing Gwen, and then when they were showing Miles, it was just ever so slightly different. I felt like Gwen's was slightly lighter, a little kind of faded, and then and where Miles was at, and I guess I don't know, was that Universe 42 or whatever? Yeah. It was real sharp, a little more vibrant and kind of darkish. So I think that was a little bit foreshadowing with that. And just him being the Prowler in that universe is real interesting. It's a good little cliffhanger. It's interesting to know if there's ever going to be a Spider-Man in that universe. Maybe it just hadn't been a Spider-Man that happened yet. Even though that spider crossed over, at some point you would think, would they call that, Harrison? The conduits always have to happen or something like that, or the universe blows up. I forgot what they called that.
The canon moments.
The canon moments. Yeah, the canon moments. Like, I feel like maybe that Spider-Man universe 42 just hadn't had that canon moment yet of who's going to become Spider-Man. So could that be his uncle? Could his uncle become Spider-Man?
To allude to that, so like if you when the Spot's giving like his backstory, like the little quick scenes of his backstory, there's a scene where it shows the spider when it gets pulled from Universe 42. It's next to Miles from that universe. You can see him. He's sitting there in school. It was gonna bite him when he was in school, and you see his braids. So I think they could change it, but I think Miles in Earth 42 is now the Prowler was supposed to be Spider-Man, but the spider got removed. But like you said, if that is a canon event, then shouldn't the universe have, unless
right, something's got to happen. I mean,
right.
You know what I mean?
I enjoyed the ending too. Originally, I thought it was Shameik Moore who was actually the voice of Earth 42 Miles, but it's not. It's the cat from When They See Us. Can't remember his name right now.
Terrible names.
Jerome Jerome.
Thank you. Jarrell Jerome, and I liked that when I found it out, because Jarrell Jerome, he's Black and Puerto Rican, just like Miles. So I thought that was a good touch. And at first, when I first watched the movie, I didn't realize he was sent to the wrong universe until the whole reveal happens. But if, like, upon the second watch, you can see when Spider-Bite's into him, it says it on the screen, Earth 42, and his room is different.
There's like no
pictures. No pictures of his dad.
Gloves. It's a speed bag instead of boxing gloves.
Yeah. So like I really did. I thought that was like the perfect ending. It made sense. And I was telling Dan the second time watching, I was like, wait, is his mom married to like his uncle in this universe?
I was thinking
I thought the same. I was a little worried right there.
But I like that they did that. So, and I got a few theories jumping off of that, and I'm going to start this one off. So theories moving forward, my two major ones are, I do not think that Miles Morales from Earth 42, who's the Prowler, I don't think he's a villain. I think he is the hero of that New York, and he's just he's the Prowler. Yeah, that is his. He didn't get spider powers, so now because when you get there, there's like J. Jonah Jameson talking on like the radio or the TV talking about the Sinister Six, who's going to stop these bad guys. So they don't ever say anything about who's going to stop the Prowler or whatever. So I think, and like his uncle, he's talked to him on the phone, asking him something about like security. So I think they're trying to clean up New York and to get like, this Miles also lost his dad. Everything about him, the way his mom talks about him, he still seems like he's some kind of good kid. So I think he's taking it upon himself with his intelligence to become the hero that New York needs. It's just not Spider-Man. And speaking of like that being a canon event, a lot of Spider-Man get their powers different ways. It doesn't always have to be like a spider bite. Like Peter Prabhakar, his is like some kind of magic spider thing. Miguel's some kind of injection.
He wasn't bit by a spider.
Yeah, it's always different. So I think that's why that universe wasn't destroyed. And in terms of the villain, I do think somehow, and they may change this, they may not. I feel like with everything going on with the Multiverse Saga and the MCU, this is somehow they're gonna tie this into Kang. Whether there's like a Spider Kang or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I've been handling my stuff over here. You guys have been messy. You know, I got shit on lock in the Spider-Verse. So I think that would be interesting, like overall, and then that would get you to, because this movie, the next one's called Beyond the Spider-Verse. So it would make sense that they go beyond the Spider-Verse. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get your Tobey Maguire, your Andrew Garfield, your Tom Holland are going to make an appearance, maybe live action, and somehow this will lead into Secret Wars. But those are like my major theories. Daniel, what you got any theories?
I like your theory about Earth 42 Miles not being a villain. He's just like his hero is he's the Prowler, but he's trying to fix it. It's just not as easy because he doesn't have spider powers. And so he's like overwhelmed, I guess, So I like that theory. I think that's a really good theory, actually. I feel like you might be right. So I like that one. Your theory about them moving beyond, I don't think they'll move beyond the Spider-Verse. I don't think they'll connect it. Well, who knows? I don't think they'll connect it to like a Kang spider. I feel like that's just a lot. Wow, that's a now if they do it, then you might be the chosen one if they do. So do I have any theories myself? No, I honestly, personally, I don't have too many theories about how they're gonna go about this one with the next movie, what they're gonna connect it to or anything like that. I'd say unfortunately, I haven't even really been able to parse out like what they could connect it to. I think yours are pretty good though.
You got anything, Devin?
I really don't, man. To kind of go off what you said though, is if 42 Prowler / we don't know him being Spider-Man hasn't become that yet, and if Miguel isn't injecting himself with something to become a Spider-Man, maybe Miguel gives them something. I don't know. Maybe Miguel gives that universe something before he died. I don't know what's going to happen with Miguel, but I'm just saying is maybe something from another universe then crosses over to theirs to create that Spider-Man. But yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't have any theories. I think it's kind of lined up to be very open. I just watched Quantum Mania last night, so just that Kang thing is kind of wild because it's fresh on my mind. So I don't know if they'd be able to do that, but that'd be wild if they did.
That would be something they would have to run by Feige and Marvel. Another thing I do believe is that, so they talk about Miles. He wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man. He's an anomaly. His Peter was supposed to survive and everything. I think him being an anomaly is the reason why he's able to save his dad. The other Spider people, they can't do it or whatever, or if they do it, it'll break the universe. Since his whole origin story wasn't supposed to happen, he can do whatever he wants. So yeah, he's lucky enough to be able to do his own thing. And I do agree with Dan. I do think either that Miles, either he stays to Prowler and that's fine, or like when Miguel finally like sees like, okay, maybe we can save everybody, he goes to other Miles, he's like, here, take some of this serum. Or even if it's not Miguel, maybe Hobie gives it to him. Because Hobie takes like some of that serum when they show up at the headquarters, and he's just taking like all the stuff off the wall. One of the things he takes is some of Miguel's serum. He's like, what do you think this does? So I think that might help you get a little spider ninja vampire Miles in a Prowler costume with maybe he spray paints a spider on it or something like that. I mean, it'll be dope.
And to your point too, if Miles can do kind of whatever he wants to or need to across the universe, he might be the best one then to lead or take over for Miguel. Then you know what I mean? If he has that ability, if what he does, because obviously he saved the I can't say his name properly, but when he saved the captain and I guess
Captain
his
Singh.
yeah, obviously it did create the hole, but we also don't know what happened following up with that. Maybe that hole was closed. So maybe Miles is the one, the true savior that needs to be Miguel, that needs to run across the multi-universes, and whatever he does in saving people, then there's no problems and no issues.
So apparently Lord and Miller came out in an interview recently and they said Beyond the Spider-Verse is the end for them. There's no plans to make a fourth film. They say that's the end of their story for Miles. One, do you agree with that? Or do you think, nah, there needs to be more after Beyond the Spider-Verse? This franchise is too good to stop at 3.
I am disheartened to hear them say they're going to stop. Now, just because they say maybe it's the end of like Miles's story, that could, I read that they're going to do like a spinoff, a female-centered spinoff though. So that doesn't mean that he won't appear in more of them, but I do think they should continue to make more, maybe not like 3-part like 3-part tales like this is, but I mean, how many one-off animated Batman movies are there? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they could do the same thing with Miles Morales with his story, because I just think he's a very unique character. Like his whole design, his whole creation was built off of the fact that people wanted Donald Glover to play Spider-Man, and they're like, well, we got to make a black Spider-Man, and they made a young black Spider-Man. He's just kind of become like a cult following for like a lot of people. So I just feel like they definitely need to, I don't know, either find a way to continue his character in some of the movies if they are going to do like spinoffs or tales of other Spider people. Find a way to continue his story with that, or just continue to make movies with him. I'd enjoy him.
Listen, y'all know the old saying, money always talks. They can say that they done with them now, man, but somebody offer enough money, man, there's going to be some type of publication out there, whether it's a TV show, whether it's just a spot in another movie, whether it's a whole new, trilogy of movies with him, an older version of him or something. I don't know, but even though it may be the last now, I don't think it's going to be the last that we ever see of Miles. I think he'll definitely show up somewhere at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I think even if Lord and Miller don't come back, I think Sony's going to see them dollar signs. And like the last movie won an Oscar, I'm pretty sure this was going to win the best animated Oscar as well. There's already talk about it actually getting nominated for best picture. It won't win that, but just the nominations, that's good enough. So I think money talks, and yeah, there will probably be more movies. And whether or not it focuses on Miles, like there's tons of Spider-Man out there. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure little Indian kids were super happy when they saw Pravita Prabhakar on screen. So whether we get a story with him, we get Gwen, we get Jessica Drew, find out who her hot baby daddy is and why he's letting his wife go out and fight crime while she's pregnant. So yeah, I think more stories can be told.
I'll throw this out there. This is kind of my theory now. This is backtrack, so I didn't have one now. This is my theory. I say that we do at some point get a live action Miles Morales. Maybe if it's in, I don't know what live movie or show it could be in, but I think that's what we get. That's my theory.
I already got the kid who played whoever the kid was from Cobra Kai when it was getting bullied.
Yeah, he would make a good one. He make a good Miles.
I ain't see Cobra Kai.
But
bro, how you ain't seen Cobra
it's
Kai?
good. You gotta see it. But it could be him, but they may actually try to find somebody who's half Puerto Rican, half black. They may actually like, hey, we got to be as faithful as we can. They don't have to. If it's a good actor and he looks the part, that'd be great.
But a live action, because we've seen live action animated Peter Parker. Now it's time. We've seen animated Miles, so now it's time to see live action.
That actually has the potential to be like the next, like the first Black Panther, $1 billion, everybody, black people dressing up. You got it. Dang, you need to drop back on Twitter. I tagged the people. There's like some like crazy little. I look like New York. With the Spider-Man and the Gwen.
Oh, the one that you sent me.
Yeah,
you got.
Where it's all foggy or something like that.
No, bro, they was getting it on in the middle of the street, bro. You got.
I mean, I'm on Twitter. I'm just not on Twitter. You know what I'm saying?
I'll see if I can show you. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us here. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Dan, tell the people where they can find you.
Pretty much just only on Instagram, Kid Chocolate, to find me. Pretty much in any of the social media with some kind of Kid Chocolate reference. Just a teacher who enjoys various things, and I'm your favorite Tekken player's favorite Tekken player. You know what I'm saying? So y'all take care.
Devin, where can the people find you?
Hey man, they can't find me nowhere. I'm incognito. I ain't got no social media out there, but I tell you what, man, if you turn on a Ravens game, it's your boy Sports Jock in the cinema spot, man. That's me, so I'll be there.
All right. Remember, you can listen to this video on YouTube or on the website flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Everything, Flixfrog books. Make sure that you subscribe. The next Let's Talk Spoilers is gonna be The Flash. We're waiting on this movie for a long time. They never sent us any screeners, but I'm gonna go check it out this week. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.